morning, ladies. My name is Esther Anton. Thank you so much for coming on a weekday to learn. So nice to see some familiar faces and new faces. So the theme for this day of learning is really about becoming more sensitive people. And I think that this is the theme of what it means to be a human being in this world, not just for this time of year, but specifically this time of year is designed to help us focus on certain midot, on certain character traits that will help us achieve this goal. There's a beautiful story I saw in the Sefer Chafetz Chaim on the Torah. It's snippets, so it's beautiful. It's written, it's divided by the parsha, and it has like snippets about different psukim. And it's not necessarily everything the Chafetz Chaim said from the Sefer, but it could be his son's recollection or his Talmidim's recollection, stories of seeing the Chafetz Chaim in action. And this is a story that actually the Chafetz Chaim gave one Shabbos. It was Parshas Emor, this past week's Parsha. And this past week's Parsha, one of the mitzvahs we hear about is about taking an esrog. And this is how the story goes. A very wealthy farmer had a very capable son-in-law as a Talmid Chacham, a learned person. So he went to the city to buy him an esrog. And he spent a lot of money on the esrog. And it was beautiful. And the seller said to him, I'm telling you, it's the best etrog. So he comes on the train back home, and he meets his neighbor, who was not such a learned person. And he said, where are you coming from? He said, I went just to buy an etrog for my son-in-law, who was a very learned person. I wanted to get him something special. So the neighbor, who was not learned, looked at it. He said, oh, wow, that is beautiful. How much did you pay for it? He said, like 500 rubles, some exorbitant amount of money. And then he says, you know what? I'll pay for the whole thing. He takes a knife, cuts it into half, gives it to the farmer to take back home for his son-in-law, and he keeps the half. So the neighbor, who doesn't know much, feels great. He has part of this great etrog. And then the farmer, who obviously does not know much, brought it to his son-in-law. So that doesn't bode well for a good relationship with his son-in-law, but okay, he brings it to his son-in-law. Then the son-in-law opens it, so when he looks at it, it looks like it's whole, and then he picks it up, and it's a half. He says to his father-in-law, what did you bring me? He's told him the story. So he said to his father-in-law, I would have preferred the simplest, most basic etrog, that it should be whole. And the Chafetz Chaim likens that to our effort in this world. Many times we put in a tremendous amount of effort and how things look on the outside. I'm going to have the most beautiful etrog. This is the mitzvah between me and Hashem. This is the mitzvah that Hashem asked me specifically as a Jew to do. These are like fancy matzahs I'm going to have. This is a beautiful kosher Eliyahu. I'm going to have my Seder table. But when it comes to the interactions between man and man, I really don't care. I cut my etrog to half, give it to my neighbor, not realizing that I don't have anything. And the Chafetz Chaim is teaching us a very important lesson, that it really takes two parts, our relationship with Hashem and our relationship with other human beings, to be a complete etrog, to be a complete Jew. And this time of year is designed to start at the beginning and get all the way to Matan Torah, to when we reach the Torah, to complete this etrog, to complete this journey. The Torah gives us a mitzvah, Usfartem lechem imacharat haShabbat. Count for yourself 49 days, starting from the first day of Pesach, all the way to Shavuot, 49 days, 7 weeks. Number one, why does the Torah tell us lachem? Why doesn't the Beit Din, just like it figures out for everyone when Rosh Chodesh is, and when is Shemitah, and when is Yovel, say to everyone, please everyone, we are now going to count. Makes no difference where you are. If you have the app on the phone, which is a good app to have, Rabbi Kier would agree, and you, for yourself, every Jew, as Rashi says, is responsible for themselves to count the Omer. So the question is, why are we counting? So let's understand, what does it mean to count? Actually, if we look at the counting of the Omer, we're not counting down, we're counting up, right? If I'm very excited, well, depends if you're a student or a parent. If you're a student, you'll say there's only 17 days, 3 hours, and 5 minutes till school's over, and the parents are like, there's only 17 days until school is over. But you count down, and here we count up. So we all know that counting up signifies, and we're counting up to something important, significant, because that is our purpose. So you have to count yourself. So what is counting? So if we want to know what counting is, look into the Torah. David HaMelech in Tehillim says, Limnot yameinu ken hoda. Count your days so you shall know. What do you mean count your days you should know? Well, you should know. The second part of the pasuk says, V'navi levav chokhmah. And that will bring us to wisdom. That means counting brings us to wisdom. So what are we counting? What is this wisdom? The Mesilas Yesharim tells us that if a person wants to live a life that is full, that is a complete etrog, that has meaning, we have to count our days. Or we have to make our days count. So how do we do that? By really accessing the parts of our personality that help us make every single day count. In the Chavos HaLevavos, there is a section that really deals with us doing cheshbon hanefesh, really taking accounting, again dealing with numbers of who we are as people. And it says the beautiful things. Take your notebooks and write in your notebooks. And you make a decision what you're writing in your notebooks. Are you going to be doodling on the side? Are you going to make a shopping list? Are you going to write about your kindness to others? Or to remind yourself to do something that's good? You make a decision what you're writing in that notebook. So what are you writing? So we see from here that in order to make our days count, to count our days, we have to have chokhmah. So what is chokhmah? Chazal tell us, chokhmah hi yirah. Chokhmah is yirat shamayim, fear of heaven. So the first automatic feeling that we get is fear. We have an association, and actually the problem is that we use Western civilization's understanding of what fear is. Really, a better understanding would be the word awe. Understanding the greatness, but yet wanting to get close to it. Rabbi Victor Miller, in his shir on Parshas Emor, talks about this beautiful concept, how Yiras Shamayim, the fear of heaven, is not about actual fear, but it's about making a realization of Hashem in our life. We are sitting here, but I could know that every single person in this room knows where their loved ones are. This one is in the office, this child is in school, my mother had a doctor's appointment, my sister's on a trip with her husband, my son is in his math class, or he's in school. We know. There is an awareness that we know where the people we love and we care about where they are. In a global picture, as Jews, we know if there's a terrible thing happening in California, shooting in a shul, so even though I'm sitting here in Florida, there's a knowledge that there's a Jew suffering over there. If there are bombs or, God forbid, horrible things happening in Eretz Yisrael, we know about that. Just like we know if there's a Yom Ha'atzmaut celebration, we know about that. That means there's that awareness is subliminal in our mind, but we have an awareness. But then there's a second part, which is fear. So what is that fear? Fear is knowing that there is something great. Fear is knowing, not like that we have monsters under the bed, because that is irrational fear. Rational fear is knowing that there's something great. And I don't have to be fearful of it and cower, but it's a reminder for us that there is greatness. If you talk about, like Rabbi Kier talked about how the Kohen Gadol goes into the Kodesh HaKodashim once a year. If you look at any mitzvah, or if let's talk about the Beit HaMikdash, we talk about the temple, what the Beit HaMikdash, what we yearn for, all the pomp and circumstance. You could go up to here, you can't go over here. By Matan Torah, everyone could go till the foot of the mountain, nobody could go further. Everyone knows there's a whole system. It's not fear to push people away, It's actually to get people closer, but with the knowledge that there is Hashem. So what does Yiras Hashem mean practically to us? If I understand that Hashem created the world, and He took the time to create me in the world, must be a reason I'm here. We're not just floating here as matter, as a big bang, and we just happen to end up here in North Miami Beach or Aventura on Bal Harbor. We're here because Hashem chose us. And the sad part is, if we don't make our days count, no one else in this world could do what I can do. But no one. Rav Moshe Feinstein can't do what I can do. Moshe Rabbeinu can't do what I could do. Only I can do what I was meant to bring to this world, what light I could bring to this world, because I have the tools and the parts of me, my history, my struggles, my joy, my parents, my mother-in-law, my difficult children, the not having money in the bank, the difficulties with the jobs, whatever it is, all those pieces make who I am, and only me with my struggles could bring that into that world, to make that into being. These 7 weeks, from Pesach to Shavuos, you see, in Pesach, we had no choice. We're leaving, we all left, we wanted to escape. The truth of the matter, if you actually think about it, Matan Torah, receiving the Torah, I could have stayed in my camp, had a cup of coffee, and just been on my phone and just ignored that. But not one Jew did that. Is there any story in the Torah or the Gemara or the Midrashim about a Jew that chose not to? We all wanted to. That was by choice, that we all came to the mountain to learn to accept, to do na'aseh v'nishma. So what happens in these 7 weeks? These 7 weeks access the midos that we could reach that. This week is the week of Hod. Actually, if you look at Sfiras Omer, actually I find my app to be very helpful. It says, the bracha, the tehillim, and also tells you what midah you're accessing this week. Basically, the way it works is that there's a 7 midot, and it depends which one is first. Is it chesed? Is it gvura? Is it hod? Is it netzach? And that midah we're working on this week, the week of Lag BaOmer, which is specifically designed for this week, is hod. What is hod? The pasuk says, "Hod v'hadar lebusha, v'tischak liyom hacharon." Describes in Mishlei, talks about Eshes Chayil. This is who she is. Glory. This is the woman describing Hod v'hadar lebusha. Her clothing glorify her. So actually, if we think about it, we actually live as frum women, where we keep on saying, "No, clothing cannot glorify us. I don't have to look so good." That is a mistake. That's not how we're supposed to live our lives. We are supposed to look beautiful for ourselves. Also, if we have a significant other person in our life, our spouse, for our children. What message are we giving our children on how we dress? That's just another message. It's very important that we take care of ourselves. This is a little PSA. It's very important we take care of ourselves, because the message we give our spouses, our children, our friends, is that we're taking care of ourselves. Because remember, there's only one person in this world that could do what I could accomplish, and that is me. Part of Hod means also humility. Because humility doesn't mean I'm a nobody, doesn't mean I don't have to hear, my voice doesn't have to be heard. Humility is that perfect balance of knowing my greatness and yet acknowledging where it all comes from. It all comes from Hashem. My talent, my smarts, my ability to give a class. I was just learning with my friend Rav Schwab on Beri Tefillah on the Siddur. It's a great sefer if anybody wants to learn it. Rav Schwab on the Siddur. And he talks about, it says, we say, Adon Olam Asher Malach, Hashem created the world. B'terem kol yitzir nivra. He was the master before he even created a speck of anything in the world. So my question is, how can you have a master if you have no subjects? And he brings down Rav Sham Shalom Hirsch, the most beautiful thing is, you know how sometimes you sit down and it's like, what I'm going to make? We have 3-day Yantif, have 6 meals to make, I have to figure out. And it's like, you know what? I saw on kosher.com, I saw this, I saw in this beautiful recipe, I was with my friend. Who gave you that idea? We keep on thinking it's us. Adon Olam, the master of the world, he is the master of the original thought that you should have the thought. In his kindness, he makes us think that we have the thought. But he is the master of the thought. So that means before Hashem even created the world, he was a master of every single thought, any single idea that would ever come into fruition in this world. So when you're sitting down to figure out your menu, or figure out what school, or what camp, what to wear, you know who's giving you that idea? Hashem. It's not us. And Hod is that perfect balance of understanding that it comes from Hashem, but I have the tools to make it, bring it to fruition. Because evidently, with all my package that I have, I could make that happen. And that is probably one of the most difficult things for us to do, because we get very mixed messages in the world. A woman has to know her own place. Jewish women are great at putting themselves down. I've seen this happen many times. Oh, you look so beautiful. I just got that at TJ Maxx. It was on sale. It's old. I gained weight. I shouldn't have wear this. Old shaitel. My skin. I didn't sleep. You'd get a whole Megillah of why. Why don't you say, thank you. Thank you. And by the way, when your children observe you, put yourself down every single time. Oh, this thing was nothing, such an easy recipe, it's 4 recipes. I just poured anything, I did anything, I just poured. We keep on putting ourselves down. The message is, I am nothing. The message is, I don't count. The message is, I have no value. When you are saying that, you're basically saying, Chas v'shalom, Hashem made a mistake. Why did he put me here? Because evidently, I'm not smart enough, or thin enough, or tall enough, or wealthy enough, or I don't have the best husband or the best kids, because you could go listen to all the things that are the way it's supposed to be. That is the biggest mistake. We are essentially saying, Hashem, Chas v'shalom, made a mistake. Why did he create me? He doesn't need me. No, I just meaning I don't want to have too much gaiva. It's like, it really is nothing. The fact that you're talented enough to pull together with $75 an outfit that looks like it's $750, good for you. That's a great talent that you could stretch the $1 to 10. I remember my grandparents, may their soul rest in peace, they're a Holocaust survivor. They came to America. They lived in Italy. That's where my mother was born and she grew up. And then in the 50s, they came to America. My grandfather was a pediatric surgeon. He was from Austria. He had his own practice. He was wealthy. My grandmother was a daughter of from a family of rabbis, and they owned blocks and blocks of buildings and factories. And they came to America, a husband, a wife, and 2 children, and $7. So I said to my grandmother, Bobby, what did you do with $7? She says, well, we arrived at Thursday. I went to the store and I bought chicken for Shabbos. And then I had to make challahs, and that's how we started. A husband and wife and 2 children and $7. They had nothing. The highest gave them a place to live in. The irony is that my father's family is American. My father is 3rd generation American. And his grandmother used to go on trains and on the streets, and he used to give out money. She worked for the highest. She volunteered to give out money to help all these immigrants so they have a place to live in until they got on their feet and to get the resources. It's unbelievable that, who knows, maybe she helped them, who knows. But that's what you did. The fact that my grandmother says, we took 50 cents and we made it $50. We stretched those dollars. The fact that you could do it, it's a gift from Hashem. That's unbelievable. But to put yourself down every time a person gives you a compliment, to put yourself down when someone says, wow, you got such nice shidduchim for your children, to put yourself down when it's like, oh, you fixed up your house. Why? Why are we doing that? Why do we feel that we need to do that? So my father, he should live and be well, always said, the Yetzer Hara could show up with a long beard and a long coat and the biggest shtreimel. He looks very frum. You're so frum. You really shouldn't talk about yourself. The truth of the matter is, there is the concept, Kedoshim Tihiyu. And the Rashi says, V'hatznei alechet im Hashem lokecha, Kedoshim Tihiyu. To be a kadosh, to be a holy person, which that's what we're striving for, you have to be tzanua. What does tzanua mean? Tzanua means acknowledging my strengths, but understanding it all comes from Hashem. So that is a very great balance. And we do have to be careful and not to show off on social media my trip, every single thing. This family is looking for, I said this last time, I'm going to say it again. And a family's WhatsApp If there's someone in the family still waiting for children, why are you posting pictures of your children? If you want to show it to your mother, privately show it to her. If you want to show it to a sister-in-law, why? Why are we doing that? We're causing pain to other people. We think it's family, they're happy for us. They are, but they also want, and they also need. We have to be so sensitive. And that balance of hod, and what is Lag BaOmer? Hod shebahod. Modesty within the modesty. And that is true modesty. Don't we all know people that you see them in the street? There's a certain regalness about them, how they communicate with people. They never raise their voice, at least in public. And but they're regular people, but there's something about them that we want to speak to them and we want to be with them. What is it? And if you actually think about it, the people that we're attracted to, the people we want to be with, the people that we want to hang out with, are the people who exemplify this midah. Hod shebahod. Modesty in the modesty. Acknowledging of who they are, but yet understanding and having a real relationship with Hashem. A person in the Torah that personifies this midah is Moshe Rabbeinu, which is the perfect model for him. And that's why he, and only he, was able to be the conduit to bring us the Torah. No one else did. There were other tzaddikim, there were heads of shvatim. It wasn't his father, it was no one else. It was Moshe. Moshe anav mikol adam. Moshe was the most humble. He knew exactly who he was. He had such sensitivity. He knew exactly who he was. As a matter of fact, sometimes he miscalculated. Do you remember when his father-in-law Yisro had to say to him, Moshe, I love you very much, but you're not going to survive being the father, the mother, the brother, the sister, and everyone else for everyone for Klal Yisrael. You can't. You need help. There has to have a system. First of all, the fact that he had humbleness enough to listen to his father-in-law would show something about him. Because he could have said, what do you want, Yisro? He just joined the Jewish people. You're telling me? According to some Midrashim, he wasn't even a convert yet, Yisro, at that point. But he listened to what he had to say. And Moshe listened to him. And he knew who he was, and he knew what he was capable of. You know, a lot of times when businesses start as a mom and pop business, the most difficult transition is when they go from the mom and pop business to a bigger business. Matter of fact, Torah MS started in a storefront with 7 students in Miami Beach. And the transition from an actual storefront to then a small building and a bigger building and a building. When we moved here 20 years ago, the high school and the Beis Medrash was still Miami Beach on the 71st Street. They weren't here yet, and everyone was like, wow, we have 300 students in this school. We're close to 1,000 students tonight. That was a big transition. And sometimes you need someone to say, you got to do it. It's a big financial risk. It's taking a lot. And there are people here, like the Lichtmans were here when this all happened, and they trusted, Zemmels were here when this was all happening in the community, and people were like, really? And they stood, and they encouraged, and look where we are with this yeshiva is today. But it takes understanding of what humility is. I saw a beautiful medrash talk about Moshe and Hashem and their relationship. If Moshe was the only person who was able to bring down the Torah, so I want you to imagine this. I saw this in the Sefer Tomer Devorah, which is actually an incredible sefer. It is written by the Ramak. They have this in English also, and talks about our midos, and it actually is divided. If someone causes you damage, and you're able to keep your mouth closed and not react. Yeah, Tomer Devorah. Okay. Matter of fact, when I was in Eretz Yisrael and I bought it, the person was like, oh, so you're doing the cycle? There are thousands and thousands of women who are learning the Sefer in Eretz Yisrael. There are chaburas of women who are learning. So, for example, we'll tell you the midah. If someone hurts you and causes you damage and you don't say anything, you are like Hashem, that you keep your mouth closed. Hashem, we make so many mistakes. Does Hashem come down and smite us, God forbid, every single time? No. He gives us chances. He gives us Yom Kippur. He gives us tshuva every single day. We could do a cheshbon hanefesh, accounting in the end every single day. Did I really write in my notebook what I really want to write in my notebook today? Did I really make my days count? Can you imagine when you go to sleep, you had a hard day, it's like, oh my gosh, this was a day for the books, literally. And you go into bed, and you say Kriyat Shema, or you don't because you're so tired. And Hashem comes and works on you. massages your muscles. Or Victor Miller describes it in his beautiful way, how he describes. And then he gives you sleep and it energizes and reboosts your cells and you wake up. You know, everything looks better in the morning. Well, Hashem knew that you counted. So at night when you felt completely broken and completely there's nothing left in you, He invigorated you. Why? הודעני לפניך מלך חי וקיים, שהחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה רבה אמונתך. Hashem has given us another day, today, when we woke up, because He has such great faith in us, in what we can accomplish, with all our faults and our imperfection, and screaming at the kids, and not being patient with our spouse, and being annoyed at our mother-in-law, and not listening to this child. With our imperfection, He gave us another day, another chance to write in our notebook, to use the midos that He gave us to who we are, our strengths and our weaknesses, to become a better version of ourselves. So why is Lag BaOmer on the day which Hod Shebahod? Why? Because it takes real, sincere, not fake, not one that I'm so proud of how humble I am, but real, I'm like a very humble person. Did you notice how I didn't say anything? Which is okay, I guess. To really accept the Torah. So even though mathematically it's not the halfway point, because it should be 25, but it's day 33. Because day 33 represents the yahrzeit of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai taught us the concept of sod, secret. He wrote the Zohar, right? Torah HaSod. No, we have Torah Shebechtav, which is the Torah Chamisha Chomshei Torah, Torah Sheba'al Peh, all the rabbis, the Agadas, the Midrashim, and he has brought down to the world the sod. What is the secret? The secret is that sometimes our lives are hard and are complicated and are not easy. Sod is the secret. What is the secret? That sometimes our lives are hard and are complicated and we don't understand why. I really don't understand why. How many times we use stories like, I don't understand why. And yet, to accept it with humility, that even though things don't look great, they look horrible. As a matter of fact, if anybody else would look at those like, oh my gosh, I really feel bad for this person. But to accept it with humility, hod shebahod, with real humility, with real emunah, that anything that is happening to me right now, even though it's a sod, it's a secret, I don't know why. I'm accepting it with humility, that Hashem gave me, that I'm the only one that could do this and accomplish in this life whatever it is. He's giving it to me. So going back to the story with Moshe, it was the last day of 40 days that Moshe was in Shemayim. And the Gemara tells us the most interesting, to me it was astounding. I looked at it, I went to my husband, I said, maybe I'm misunderstanding. Hashem just finished giving Moshe the Torah, whatever that means, and Moshe wrote the original Sefer Torah. So as Hashem is speaking, he took notes, and he wrote the Sefer Torah. So Hashem goes to Moshe, do you like the matana I gave you? Do you like the gift I gave you? And Moshe, Hashem sees Moshe, what is he doing? He's making the tagim. Do you know when you look at a Sefer Torah, it's not just letters, there's like little lines on times, crowns, depends if you do Sfard or Ashkenaz, or there's different designs. And Rabbi Akiva, they say, was able to do Torah Sasod, the secret Torah of understanding hidden worlds, on each one of those lines. Again, whatever that means. This is what Moshe Rabbeinu is doing. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, oh, I love the gift. I'm just adding now all these beautiful lines so we can have more depth. And Hashem says to Moshe, aren't you going to compliment me for the gift I just gave you, this unbelievable gift? And the rabbis ask, rightfully so, HaKadosh Baruch Hu needed a compliment from Moshe Rabbeinu? Wow, that was an awesome gift. 2 thumbs up. Like. The answer is, Hashem was teaching us a lesson. That even HaKadosh Baruch Hu, quote unquote, needed compliment and encouragement. And the power of encouraging people. We could go through life, oh, she's got her life together. But she needs me to tell her, kids are doing great. They need to tell me that she looks great, that I saw her son standing so nicely in shul, that I saw her daughter with a shopping list in the store. Does she really need a compliment? Does my husband need to hear a thank you from me, that thank you he went to work? Of course he's going to go to work. What else is he going to do? Does my mother-in-law need a thank you after 25 years of marriage? Thank you so much for raising my husband and making him to the man he is. Does my neighbor really need a compliment that she just painted her house? She painted her house very nice. She did it because she's planning to sell it. And she's going to leave me. So anyway, so I don't know why I have to compliment her. Does my daughter, who's the president in the Jehovah class, need a compliment from me? Like, you're so smart. She knows that. The school tells her, you're going to be valedictorian. Like, why do I need that? And the answer is, we all need validation. We all need encouragement. Kadosh Baruch Hu asked Moshe, aren't you going to compliment me on the gift I just gave you? I have to tell you, when I read this, it was like a light bulb went in my head, because it made me realize how we don't realize the power of our words. Do we realize the power of our words, what we could say? We could build a person, or we could destroy a person. So when my friend gives me a compliment, and rose to the occasion and did exactly what Hashem asked Moshe to do, to compliment, and she actually gave me a compliment, what am I doing when I say to her, oh, this is nothing? Do you think she's going to want a compliment again? Not only me, how about my friends? Nobody likes what we say is brushed aside. These 7 weeks access chesed, like Avram Avinu, this unbelievable abundance of giving and giving. Yitzchak Gevura, holding back. Do you know, we never thought about it. When Avram Avinu finally Hashem said to him, you're going to take your son and you're going to tie him up and shecht him, and Avram says, I'm here, I'm going to do it. You know, we forget that his son became blind at this occasion. And also, you also know that he came home to find out his wife died. So here he just did the most incredible act of devotion to Hashem, willing to sacrifice his son, who becomes blind, come home to find out his wife died of a broken heart. Do we hear Avram Avinu saying, oh, by the way, I don't understand. I just did exactly what you told him to do. This is how you want me to serve you? He had the understanding of Sod, which Reb Shimon Bar Yochai teaches us. I don't understand. I don't comprehend what this is doing. The act of Avram Avinu giving up his son, his wife, stands today. Thousands of years later, which allows the Jewish people to be. Every single year we mention, we blow the shofar, the entire Rosh Hashanah is based on it. On an act of a person who's willing to say, I don't understand the Sod. I don't understand what you're doing, that I'm suffering so much. Yaakov took those 2 midos and blended it to tiferet, to a glory of knowing the perfect balance of giving and also holding back. And that's what the Jewish people are. The perfect balance. And then you go to Hod. Hod is the epicenter because Hod represent every single one of the 7 weeks. Hod, Netzach, Tiferes. As a matter of fact, if everybody wants to, I have notes for my shir. If you just email me, you will get it back right now. I'll give it to you in the email in a moment. You have to go through all the 7 weeks. It will encompasses all of those pieces. And the pieces represent every single part of us. Sometimes we have to be very giving. Sometimes we have to say, bedtime is now. Sometimes we have to not see everything and not hear everything. We have to look for the future, for the netzach, what I want to do. This is what I want to accomplish. But if we don't have real Hod, and Hod is what describes woman, that's why this week in Lag BaOmer, we think of the boys collecting the wood and making the bonfire and the marshmallows and, and all those things. But Hod represents the woman. Hod v'hadar levusha. That glory, that humbleness, that sniut, which represents what women are, not only in dress, but who we are and what we could bring to the table, is what makes all the 7 weeks happen. And that's why by Matan Torah, the first thing Hashem says, Ko Tomar LeBeit Yaakov. When I'm giving you this beautiful, amazing, precious gift, we give it to the woman first. Because we, and only we, have the key to pass it on to future generations. Not by putting ourselves down, but by acknowledging who we are and having sensitivity and looking for the future, trying to put the two parts of the esrog, Ben Adam LaMakom and Ben Adam LeChavero, and Emir Tashem in the schus of putting all these pieces together, acknowledging who we are, hod shebahod, with a real humbleness, we'll be able to receive the Torah again. So if you'd like to get notes of the class, if you could email me, you'll get it right back now. It's esther@gmail.com. So get an automatic reply with the notes of the class.
Could you repeat that?
Sure, Esther, Esther, B, that's my first letter of my maiden name. Anton, Anton, @gmail.
What was the first one?
Esther, B, Anton, Anton, @gmail.com. So you'll get an automatic reply with the notes. Thank you very much. I appreciate you taking time of your busy morning.
Thank you.